years later, and they still have no idea what you're about. Tell me in a sentence who you are.
Nobody. I'm nobody. I'm a tramp, a bum, a hobo. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine. And a straight razor if you get too close to me.
All right. Hey.
Hey.
Oh, I don't like that light behind us right now.
Yeah. Well, we look like floating heads if we don't.
I don't mind looking like a floating head.
Okay, I'll turn it off in a commercial.
All right, guys. So we're talking about the lipstick killer. So I wore
Part
lipstick.
2.
I wore lipstick. See?
Yes.
Yes, we are in part 2 right now. We decided to go live early today because we forgot that it was Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And so we thought that maybe it would just be easier to get this done and everybody could like hashtag replay.
Oh, yeah.
If they didn't catch it.
If anybody's watching right now.
I see 7 people. So
probably Twitter.
No, Twitter only has 3.
Oh, 4. Okay, yeah. One's on the collective Twitch, and one is on the main page.
All right. Hey,
guys, don't send us stars.
Do not send us stars.
If you're on Twitch, whatever, send us whatever you can through Twitch. That's fine. They have their ways of donating and so, or however they do things through Twitch. But the Facebook stars, don't send us Facebook stars at all.
They don't get to us.
Nope.
They never get to us. They never actually cash them out. They give us excuses why they won't cash them out.
And if you really want to support us, you can head right over to our Patreon.
I'll
bring that up right now.
Are you going to bring it up? All right. So let's get started, guys. All right. So where we left off, we had actually been talking about Hector Verberg. He was a 65-year-old man and a janitor in the building where the victim, Suzanne Degnan, had lived. So Suzanne Degnan, for those of you who do not know, was a 6-year-old who was discovered missing from her first floor bedroom in Edgewater, Chicago.
Yeah.
She was found. The police found a ladder outside of her window with a ransom note. Get $20,000 ready and wait for my word. Do not notify the FBI or police. Bills are in 5s and 10s. Burn this for her safety. A man repeatedly called the Degnan residence demanding the ransom, and even the mayor of Chicago, Edward Kelly, received a note. This is to tell you how sorry I am. Here, hold on. This is to tell you how sorry I am not get old Degnan instead of his girl.
What?
It doesn't make sense. Okay.
Well, I mean, you also have to look at the time too. This person's slightly illiterate. Illiterate.
Roosevelt and the OPA made their own laws. Why shouldn't I? And a lot more. So we did talk about that. So guys, go check out the first episode on the lipstick killer, and we are gonna get into talking about. We'll go back into his arrest for a second there.
Yeah.
Hector Verberg's arrest. So he was a janitor at the building where Degnan lived. He was arrested and treated as a suspect. The police even told the press, "This is the man." Despite all the discrepancies between...
It's him.
Well, yeah. Well, there were tons of discrepancies between his profile and the one that was developed by them as to what kind of skills that the killer had to have, including him having known surgical or butcher knowledge. And Verberg knew none of this. Police cited such evidence as Verberg frequenting the so-called murder room. Well, yeah, he's the janitor. He goes in there.
Well, duh.
And the grimy state of the ransom note suggested it was written by dirty hands.
Yeah.
Dirty hands.
Did you match the prints up then?
No, they did not.
No, exactly.
Nope.
So you didn't do your job.
Well, I mean, this is also in the 40s, but
they were using prints since the early 1910s and stuff like that.
Well, they were using prints, and it took a long time to do so.
Well, no, but by the time that was actually by the time the 40s and 50s came around, that was mainstay. If there was fingerprints, you were caught.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm going into the live chat over here. Yay! Those of you that see me say yay, that's me.
Where'd you go? Twitter.
On Twitter, yeah.
X.
Yeah. Every time I think of X, I think of the band X.
I laugh,
and I can't believe. Go ahead.
It makes me laugh at the reason why. I'm pretty sure why Elon Musk calls it X. I know it's his building or his brand for SpaceX, all that stuff, but let's just say it. Yeah, there's a lot of porn on X.
But also,
there was a lot of porn on Twitter, so I see why he calls it X. Sorry.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Damn it. Oh well. So they even went as far as to pressure his wife to implicate him.
Wow.
In the murder. Police held Verberg for 48 hours of questioning and beatings and severely injured him, including separating his shoulder. Throughout it, though, he denied any involvement in the murder. So his janitor union lawyer got Verberg released on a writ of habeas corpus. Verberg said of the experience, they hanged me up. They blindfolded me. I can't put my arms up. They're sore. They had handcuffs on me for hours and hours. They threw me in the cell blindfolded me. They handcuffed my hands behind my back and pulled me up on bars until my toes touched the floor.
Oh, I believe it.
I know. I go to the hospital. Oh, I'm so sick anymore. And I would have confessed to anything.
Yeah.
So Verberg spent 10 days in the hospital. It was determined that Verberg, a Belgian immigrant, couldn't even write English.
Oh, wow.
He couldn't write it well enough by crude standards. And he couldn't have even written that ransom note.
How did he write this whatever these notes up here on Wikipedia.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Right. So, he successfully sued the Chicago Police Department for $15,000, and his wife received $5,000.
That's actually in the 40s. That was a
Decent.
lot of that was probably the equivalent to like 150,000 now.
I mean, that's a decent amount of money, definitely. I couldn't even imagine going through what he went through.
Yeah. Oh,
It's absolutely ridiculous that they did that to him.
well, you're at a time when there was like a ton of xenophobia and stuff like that, especially for Europeans. Could you imagine? You're directly after World War II. You don't know who's a Nazi or who's not or whatever.
And then they
don't
know the difference between the dialects and the different accents. So the Austrian, German, and Belgium accents all sound pretty much the same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm not saying what the police did was right at all in any way, shape, or form. But there is just, and not to mention at the time there was a lot of corrupt cops. A lot.
At the time.
Well, yeah. Humans are humans, man.
I mean,
you're gonna have good ones and bad ones.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's good ones and bad ones. There's good cops and bad cops, but these were definitely not the good ones.
No.
So now we're going to get into the Sidney Sherman investigation. Another notable false lead in this investigation was that of Sidney Sherman. So he was a recently discharged Marine who had served in World War II. Police had found blonde hairs on the back of the Degnan apartment building. And nearby was a wire that authorities suspected could have been used as a garrote to strangle Suzanne Degnan. Near that was a handkerchief the police suspected might have been used as a gag to keep Suzanne quiet. All of this is might, could, maybe.
Well, I mean, there's always speculation in the investigation what's found around the body, but
that wasn't found around the body. It was
found. Wasn't?
No, it was just happened to be in the building.
Okay. They're just trying to close the case out is what they're doing. They don't want the problem. They just don't want this problem anymore.
Yeah. So on the handkerchief was a laundry mark named S. Sherman. The police hoped that perhaps the killer had erred in leaving it behind. They searched military records and discovered that a Sidney Sherman had lived at at the Hyde Park YMCA.
It's a John Smith.
Yeah, basically.
And Jane Doe.
Well, so the police went to question Sherman, but discovered that he had vacated the residence without checking out and quit his job without picking up his last paycheck. A nationwide manhunt ensued. Sherman was found 4 days later in Toledo, Ohio. He explained under interrogation that he had eloped with his girlfriend and denied that the handkerchief was even his. He was administered a polygraph test, which he passed and was later cleared. The handkerchief's real owner was Airman Seymour Sherman from New York City, and he was eventually found.
Oh, wow.
And he had actually been out of the country when Suzanne was murdered and had no idea how it actually ended up in Chicago, actually. Basically, the presence of the handkerchief was determined to be a coincidence. Like, all of this hoopla around it.
Yeah. That's what they do sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, ransom calls. After Suzanne Degnan's disappearance, the Degnan residents received phone calls demanding ransom. A local boy, Theodore Campbell, later said that another local teenager, Vincent Costello, had killed Degnan. Costello, who lived a few blocks from the Degnans, had been convicted of armed robbery at the age of 16 and sent to reform school. Campbell said that Costello admitted to kidnapping and killing Suzanne Degnan and told him, Campbell, to make the calls to the Degnans. Costello was arrested, but polygraph tests indicate that neither of them actually had knowledge of the murder. They were just fucking with the family.
Yeah.
Little sociopathic little shits.
Yep.
So, wow. Another confession. You know, we think of these confessions, like false confessions, being somewhat of a modern thing.
No.
But it's not at all.
No, it's happened. Well, especially back in the time when it was a lot easier for them to be tortured and stuff like that.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, though. These are people just coming out of the woodworks and confessing to something they didn't do.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, especially in the time when it was easier for them to be tortured, they literally, before they would just admit to it, because they either A, wanted to go home, or B, they're like, no, I just don't want to be beaten so much, so I better just go along with this.
Well, so this is Richard Russell Thomas.
Name was Russell.
Her name was Russell. He was a nurse living in Phoenix, Arizona, having moved from Chicago. At the time of the Chicago investigation, he was imprisoned in Phoenix for molesting one of his own daughters.
Dear God.
But he was in Chicago at the time of the Degnan murder. A handwriting expert for the Phoenix Police Department first informed Chicago authorities of the great similarities between Thomas's handwriting and that of the Degnan ransom note, noting that many of the phrases Thomas had used in an extortion note were similar, and his medical training as a nurse matched the profile suggested by the police. Although Thomas lived on the south side, he frequented a car yard directly across the street from where Suzanne Degnan's arms were found. For those of you who forgot, she was basically cut into pieces. Not basically, she was cut into pieces.
Oh, yeah.
So, he frequented a car yard that was directly across the street from where her arms were found. During questioning by the Chicago police, he freely admitted to killing her. However, the authorities were intrigued by a promising new suspect reported to the newspaper the same day that the Thomas development broke. A college student was caught fleeing from the scene of a burglary, brandishing a gun at the police, and tried to kill one of them during the pursuit.
On a random note, you know what I saw? It was just one of those like YouTube reels or whatever it was. A girl rushed a sheriff's deputy as he was coming in the door, managed to grab his gun.
Oh yeah.
And then unalived herself like right there. Wow. They didn't show it, but it was like quick. I was like, oh my God. It was insane to watch. I mean, to the point to where they stopped. I was like, I don't want to see anymore. This is crazy.
I don't know where I was.
Oh,
hold on. So, okay, here we go. So when the Thomas development started, a college student had fled from the cops during a burglary. He brandished a gun and possibly tried to kill one of them during the pursuit. By this time, Thomas had actually recanted his confession, but the press didn't even notice in light of this new lead.
Yeah.
So, he never got his 15 seconds of fame, really. So, arrest and questioning of Aarons.
Is it Aaron? Yeah.
Aarons?
Hirons. I think
it's Aarons.
Oh, well. The lipstick killer. There you go. William the lipstick killer.
Bill.
Bill.
So on June 26, 1946, 17-year-old William Hirons, whatever, was arrested for attempted burglary. According to William, he drifted into unconsciousness under questioning and was interrogated around the clock for 6 consecutive days, beaten and starved. He was not allowed to see his parents for 4 days. He was also refused the opportunity to speak to a lawyer for 6 days. Sadly, I believe it with that time frame.
I do believe it, yeah.
So 2 psychiatrists, Dr. Haynes and Roy Grinker.
Roy what?
Grinker.
Wow. But,
Roy Richard Grinker Sr.
And the reason why I say I believe it with him is because he already had a past. Like they just said it right there. He was breaking and entering and doing B&Es and stuff like that. So this wasn't his first time with running into the law. They probably were just fed up with him. And at the time, again, they weren't nice to people they put in jail.
Well, yeah, I mean, but at the same time, he was 17.
Yeah.
And back then, 16, 17 was actually a hard 16, 17.
Well, they figured that, especially at that age, you needed to get your ass whooped to learn something. And
well, they did mention 2 psychiatrists, but one of them was actually an American neurologist and psychiatrist and professor of psychiatry at the University of Chicago. He's actually considered a pioneer in American psychiatry and psychosomatics, which is interesting.
Psychosomatics. That reminds me of Prodigy. Oh,
Psychosomatic.
I can't remember the lyrics. Yeah, what was it? Sorry.
Anyway.
Oh, I'm
I can't remember all of it either.
psychosomatic.
Something insane.
Just remember, I'm the victim. You're the victim, or whatever. Running through a. Have you seen the video where it's them without the music and it's all them running through the tunnel and it's all like echoing in footsteps?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Great.
So, Dr. Haynes and Roy Grinker gave William sodium pentothal. So, if you guys don't know what that is, it is the truth serum.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They gave it to him without a warrant and without asking his parents. And then they interrogated him for 3 hours.
It's not so much that it's a truth serum, it's that you're just very suggestive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and you will let things out.
Under the influence of the drug, authorities claim that he spoke of an alternate personality named George who had actually committed the murders. William claimed that he recalled little of the drug-induced interrogation and that when police asked for George's last name, he said he couldn't remember, but that it was a murmuring name.
A murmuring name?
Yep, murmuring name.
He was very much given this, and then sounds like he was
out of his mind.
Yeah, and he was coaxed into saying whatever.
You know his middle name's George, right?
Yeah.
Like, did we mention that, guys? His middle name is actually George.
Exactly.
So
look, this is the reason why, like, I think to his death, never ever he maintained his innocence. It's such a weird crime, and there is I think when we get into it further, I think there is evidence that points to him, but also that doesn't point to him. It's just all circumstantial, roughly.
Well, police translated this name to Merman, and the media later dramatized it as Murder Man.
The Murder Man.
Yeah,
really.
What he actually said is in dispute, as the original transcript has disappeared. In 1952, Grinker revealed that William had never implicated himself in any of the killings.
You imagine the original transcript on this was just probably written down on a legal pad. That's it.
Oh yeah. Well, on his 5th day in custody, William was given a lumbar puncture without anesthesia.
Oh my! What is that's down by your spine? Yeah. Oh my God! Why?
See, lumbar, thoracic.
Yeah, but
cervical.
What was the point?
To fuck with him. Moments later, he was driven to police headquarters for a polygraph test.
Oh my God. Oh, the stress, and it makes him
look guilty because it's spiking his blood pressure from the pain.
All that stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay, I am on the side that he didn't do this.
So far, I mean, we could
very much
change our minds on this.
That is insane, because I forgot this is around the time that polygraphs and all that stuff started coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, they had already given the other guy a polygraph test, and he passed with flying colors.
Uh-oh.
What?
Oh, it's the Wi-Fi on my laptop.
Oh, I was like, what just happened? Okay, so they tried for a few minutes to administer the test, but it was rescheduled for several days after they found him to be in too much pain to cooperate.
Well, duh.
When the polygraph was administered, authorities, including State's Attorney William Toy, announced that the results were still inconclusive.
You know what's crazy about all this? And again, I do respect police officers, but at the same time, the bad ones, the really bad ones, it's messed up to even think that even like some of the good cops that, put innocent people behind bars, and then when it's proven that they're innocent, there's no real major apology. It's just oops, oh
Look
well.
At Damien Echols.
Yeah, oh exactly.
Oh my God. I mean, he got malaria how many times?
Oh yeah.
They were like, you know what? We just don't want to get in trouble. So we're going to have you say, I didn't do it, but I did it, just so that you can't sue us.
And again, these are all the bad bad cops and stuff like that to do shit like this. This is what we're talking about, not the good ones in any way, shape, or form. This is
Oh,
just
yeah.
fucking nuts, though. That, I mean, I just thought about it. I was like, there's no major, huge apologies for these guys. It was like, some of these people have gone to jail for, minimum, what, 5 years, 10 years, and life's just gone. It's just, that's it. And especially your life doesn't get back on track when you get out. You're never what you were when you went in.
Well, get this. So the results were inconclusive, but he was still transferred to the Cook County Jail. And then he was placed into the infirmary just to recover. They gave him a lumbar puncture.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, oh, we're just going to now get you to fucking confess.
Oh, exactly.
So after the sodium pentothal questioning, but before the polygraph exam, Williams spoke to a Captain Michael Ahern with State's Attorney William Toohey and the stenographer at hand. William offered an indirect confession confirming his claim while under sodium pentothal was his alter ego, George Merman, who might have been responsible for the crimes, and that George, which happens to be his father's name and his own middle name, had given him the loot to hide in his dormitory room. Police hunted all over this George, questioning William's known friends, family, and associates, but came up pretty empty-handed.
Yeah.
Good cop, bad cop. There are good cops still.
Yeah, there are very good cops. There's more. I definitely believe the good cops do outnumber the bad cops, but you only hear the stories about the bad cops like we're talking about right now.
We had somebody try to burglarize us while I was here working. And I called the police and they showed up, and I'm pretty sure they sent the Chippendales instead. But they showed up and they were in uniform. And they walked through the entire house with me. The people that tried to rob us actually got taken out by our dogs.
Yeah.
And we never really found them, but those dogs got a steak that night. But those police officers were actually quite nice. They stayed there till Hexus over here got home to be there with.
It was probably about 10 minutes between whatever, everything happening, me leaving work, coming back over here, all this other stuff. Yeah.
It was craziness though. They got here pretty fast, and they looked like Chippendales, which still cracks me up to this day.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are good cops. There are bad ones too. But yeah. Whew, sorry. Allergies are causing me to be wheezy tonight, so excuse me there, guys.
What we have right now too, you have a lot of oversight now compared to what you did back in the 40s.
Yeah.
There's like next to no oversight for each precinct, each department. It didn't matter. It was like they were their own little group, and that's they did whatever. But now there's so much oversight that it's hard for a lot of cops to do this stuff. It's hard for them to get away with things, but some of them still do. It happens. You hear about the stories and everything like that.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Woo, excuse me. So William was attributed as saying while under the influence that he met George when he was 13 years old, and it was George who sent him out prowling at night, that he would rob for pleasure, and he killed like a cobra when cornered. George relayed his secrets to William. William allegedly claimed that he was always taking the rap for George, first for petty theft, then assault, and now murder.
Yeah.
Psychologists explained that at the time, that in the same way children made up imaginary friends, William had made up his personality to keep his antisocial feelings and actions separate from the person who could be the average son and student, dating a nice girl and go to church.
I don't think he, I think it was just sodium pentothal, and he was just fucking out of his mind on sodium pentothal. Yeah. And then when he came to, he's like, this
Hi,
ain't right.
William.
Hi, William.
I wasn't under the influence when I killed. Different William. You'd be a little too old to be commenting at this point if it was him. So, hard evidence. While handwriting analysis did not definitively link Williams' handwriting to the lipstick message, police claim that his fingerprints matched a print discovered at the scene of the Frances Brown murder. It was first reported as a bloody smudge on the door jamb. Furthermore, a fingerprint of the left pinky finger also allegedly connected William to the ransom note with 9 points of comparison. Wow, that's not that much.
No, it's not.
9 points of comparison is not that much.
That is not at all, because you have so much that you have to.
Now they want like a minimum of like,
if
I can't remember what it is. I don't want to say it. So
it's yeah.
But 9 points is not much. At the time, I think it was like 12 points that they wanted to at least suggest that it might be the same person.
Yeah.
So that was only 9 points. As Williams' 9 points of comparison were loops, this could also provide a match of 65% of the population. At the time, Williams' supporters pointed out that the FBI handbook regarding fingerprint identification regarded 12 points of comparison matching to have a positive identification.
Yeah.
On June 30th, 1946, Captain Emmett Evans told newspaper that William had been cleared of suspicion in the Brown murder as the fingerprint left in the apartment was not his. 12 days later, Chief of Detectives Walter Storms confirmed that the bloody smudge left on the door jamb was in fact his, though.
See, this is what I was saying, where it gets weird.
It's like, are you guys going to make up your mind? You maybe want to stop holding press conferences about every little damn thing?
Which there is a chance with him robbing in the area that I didn't say it did. He did rob the house or
possibly.
So there is a chance that he possibly went in there, saw the bloody body, and so that
and went, fuck this shit.
And then ran, you know?
Yes.
And there's his bloody print.
So this is now stolen items. Police searches without a warrant of Williams' residence and college dormitory found other items that earned notable publicity. So they recovered a scrapbook containing pictures of Nazi officials that belonged to a war veteran, Harry Gold, that was taken when William burgled his place the night that Suzanne Degnan was actually killed. Let's repeat that. He was actually robbing somebody else when Suzanne Degnan was kidnapped and murdered.
Exactly, yeah.
But he did live in the vicinity of the Degnans.
So there is a chance.
The guy did, that he was robbing.
Yeah. There is a chance that he, like I said, a slim chance that he was there. That the print, if it was legit though, his print, you know, if it was his bloody print that actually legit matched up to him, with what they did with everything else, there's no telling what they did. They could have literally went back there and got like some of it got some rando's blood on him and just put it down there because they weren't doing DNA testing at the time at all. So, and then made him put a print there. I'm just saying, it's all speculation.
Again, because he was in the area robbing Harry Gold, this puts him back into the circle of suspicion. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Also, Williams' possession, was a stolen copy of Psychopathia Sexualis. Let me see if I can read this. This is going to be very hard.
Didn't they say
Eine Kleinsch
okay.
Basically a forensic study of sexual psychopathy.
But
it says it in German.
He also had other Nazi
that he had grabbed from Harry Gold.
And this could have been in that.
Yeah. So it was actually Harry Gold had a lot of pictures of Nazi officials and Nazi paraphernalia. He was actually a war veteran of that war, though.
We have to also understand too, he literally probably just got back.
Yeah.
You know, because it's 1946, he probably finally got enough points to be sent back because they didn't need him there anymore, and that was that.
Now I'm trying to figure this out. I'm gonna try to see this.
There we go.
I can't do this.
Von Kraft, I can say that.
Okay, so his name was Richard von Croft
Ebing.
Ebings. And the book is Psychopathia Sexualis eine klinische forensische Studie.
The dancing psychopath of sex.
Basically, the forensic study of sexual psychopathy. Okay.
Well, it's basically it's probably it's probably early on, like with because serial killers have been around forever.
It's a famous study on sexual deviance. It's
Yeah.
from 1886. So, in addition, among William's belongings, police discovered a stolen medical kit, but they announced that the medical instruments could not be linked to the murders. No trace of biological materials such as blood, skin, or hair were found on the tools. Moreover, no biological material of the victims was found on William himself or any of his clothes. The medical kit tools were considered to be too fine and too small to be used for dissection. Instead, William had used the 4-inch long medical kit to alter the war bonds that he stole.
Everything points to him not doing this.
Yeah.
Everything straight up. It's all about money for him and trying to. Yeah.
The thing that sucks is there's circumstantial evidence that connects him to being in the vicinity,
But
in
you
the
should
general
never-
area.
Even though they have, but circumstantial evidence is.
But yeah, exactly. Circumstantial is just that. It's just circumstance.
Yeah.
So a gun was found in William's possession, and it was linked to a shooting. It was a Colt police positive revolver that had been stolen in a burglary at the apartment of Guy Roderick on December 3rd, 1945. Hey, Nadine! What's up?
Oh, should I say, hey, Dean?
Hey.
Those glamour shots she put up.
Her hair looking all nice and fluffy and
Yeah.
awesome. Like,
Oh,
fluffy in a
Nadine-
good way, by the way.
Nadine, can you do like those Chola pictures, like from
Oh my god! Oh my god!
like the mini mall?
The Olin Mills,
Yeah,
like-
where they went in there with the they're like
where they
all
like
done-
crunched their hair with like,
that'd be great.
but you have to like, you're gonna have to like cover your eyebrows and like then draw them really thin. Okay, I'm just saying. Just a thought. But anyway, beside that, God, I can't breathe. You guys keep hearing my wheeze.
Nadine tuned out now. She's all screw you guys.
She's all peace.
Deuces.
So 2 nights later, a bullet crashed through the closed 8th floor apartment window of Marion Caldwell, wounding her.
Oh yeah, it was definitely Hiram's.
And yep, William had that gun in his possession. And according to the Chicago Police Department,
You murdered this woman.
the
Sir,
bullet that injured Caldwell was linked through ballistics to the same gun.
Sir, I was in jail. Though you were beating me during my interrogation.
Yeah.
No, you're guilty of this. This is all you. but
Yep.
but that's pretty much how this is going.
Eyewitnesses. An eyewitness told police that he saw a figure walking toward the Degnan residence with a shopping bag.
Yes, a figure.
When the time period mentioned would be very ambiguous.
So they wrote.
At some point in the night,
Here we go. Look at this.
they saw some dude, a figure that was described to be about a 5'9", 170 pound, 35-year-old man wearing a light colored fedora and a dark overcoat. But they could never make out his face. But this was at some time
Yeah,
in
but
the
they-
night carrying a shopping bag.
He's 17. This person is around 35.
Exactly.
There's a look. I'm 43. I have gray in my beard. That's what starts happening. You start turning. You
Ivar.
start looking old, especially around 35.
Let's
So
not talk about that.
you're clearly not. I was very visibly not 17 years old.
Hey, Kisa. But yeah, so some dude that was definitely not the dude that we're talking about, apparently, was seen carrying a grocery shopping bag. But it had to be him, right? The witness did not recognize the photo of William as showing as being the man that he saw. But a few days later, he decided to identify William as the person in court. Before the trial, inconsistencies in the witness's original statement had led many to dismiss his evidence.
Exactly. The fact that you said, well, I think he's a 35-year-old man, but it's clearly this kid right here. He's 17. It's not the same.
Exactly.
So,
in court, it was pointed out that the witness told the police in darkness, or that the darkness had prevented him from seeing his face. While in court, he testified that he'd seen him walk in front of a car's headlights and therefore saw his face.
You know who like William needed? My cousin Vinny. Because he was a Ute. Actually, if you think about it, my cousin Vinny is roughly like what would happen if they had a good lawyer. Or William had a good lawyer.
William's defense attorney felt...
Actually, it's nothing like it. Never mind.
Hey, Tia. William's defense attorney already felt that he was guilty.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he's guilty.
He felt he was guilty.
You're not supposed to feel anything. You're supposed to defend him. That's your job.
And at this point, he believed that their task was simply to save him from the electric chair.
Yeah, well, okay, that is true.
But no, only like to make sure he gets life, but that he doesn't get death.
Well, let me when there is evidence that irrefutable evidence that they caught him red-handed, he was there, they know it's him. A lawyer's job is to basically keep him from getting the death penalty.
Yeah,
that's what the lawyer is supposed to do. But there's none of that happening here. This is a case that he could easily have won if all he had to do was just go, seriously. Mm-hmm. You're saying let's pressure this guy right now. You're saying a 35-year-old man, but yet you pointed to a 17-year-old kid right here. It's not the same.
No, not at all.
At all.
So the small, and then on top of it, Tui, on the other hand, wasn't even certain that he can get a conviction. So on the other side, they weren't even certain that they can convict him.
They just didn't want. The prosecutor needed to be his lawyer. Basically, that's what's going on here. He needed to be the prosecution needed to be his lawyer, and then the defense lawyer needed to be the prosecution.
Oh yeah. Well, the small likelihood. So here, this is a statement from State's Attorney Tui.
Kisa, hello, Kisa.
I said hi.
No, I didn't say hi to her.
An expert on tires. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
That's what they needed. Great. Wow.
The 327 in a 1960.
Yep, the lawyers needed to be switched.
In a 1966 Bel Air. The 327 didn't exist in 1966. But however, if it did, that's actually accurate, dude. She was spot on with that.
She was very spot on. All right, so this is actually a statement from the state's attorney, Tui. The small likelihood of a successful murder prosecution of William Hirons early prompted the state's attorney's office to seek out and obtain the cooperative help of defense counsel, and through them, that of their client. All the prosecution had in the Degnan case was a partial fingerprint on a ransom note. And it was at this stage of the investigation that defense counsel moved forward in cooperation with my office.
Wait, what?
What?
Oh, moved forward with the co-op. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. No, it just sounded different.
He basically said, look, all we had was a partial fingerprint on a ransom note that might have matched, but only had like 9 points instead of 12. But at this point, we got his lawyers to cooperate with us to move forward.
Because his lawyer literally was like, oh, yeah, he did it. I don't even know why I'm defending him right now. Let's go ahead and get this going. It's like,
so Williams' lawyers pressured him to take Tui's plea bargain. That deal, which was the topic of that closed-door meeting with Tui, stated that William would serve one life sentence if he confessed to the murders of Josephine Ross, Frances Brown, and Suzanne Degnan. With the help of his lawyers, he began drafting a confession using the Chicago Tribune article as a guide. The fact that they had to use the article from the Tribune as a guide for the confession should fucking say so much. It speaks volumes. As it turned out, the Tribune article was very helpful, as it provided me with lots of details that I didn't know. My attorneys rarely changed anything outright, but I could tell by their faces if I had made a mistake. Or they would say, now, Bill, is that really the way it happened? Then I would change my story because obviously it went against what was known in the Tribune.
I need to make sure I was right before I respond to William.
Did you hear that?
Say it again. Sorry.
This is from him.
Mm-hmm.
This is a statement from William.
Yeah.
As it turned out, the Tribune article was very helpful as it provided me with a lot of details that I didn't know. My attorneys rarely changed anything outright, but I could tell by their faces if I had made a mistake. Or they would say, now, Bill, is that really the way it happened? Then I would change my story because obviously it went against what was known in the Tribune. They made him confess using the fucking newspaper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then both William and his parents signed the confession. The parties agreed to the date of July 30th for William to have made his official confession. On that date, the defense went to Tuohy's office, where several reporters were assembled to ask William questions about where Tuohy himself made a speech. Questions and where Tuohy himself made a speech. William appeared bewildered and gave non-committal answers to reporters' questions, which he years later blamed on Tuohy. It was Tuohy himself. After assembling all the officials, including attorneys and policemen, he began to preamble about how long everyone had been waiting to get a confession from me, but at last the truth was going to be told. He kept emphasizing the word truth, and I asked him if he really wanted the truth. He assured me that he did. Now, Tuohy made a big deal about hearing the truth. Now, when I was being forced to lie to save myself, that made me angry. So I told him the truth, and everyone got upset. What he said was, I confessed to save my own life.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is this guy, William Hirons, died in prison.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me get some comments.
It was absolutely coerced.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was. Yeah.
Absolutely coerced.
You bring up William's comment.
Yes.
Here we go. So
327 came in the late 69.
You're partially right, William. The 327 came out. It was in the Chevy Nova. They put it in the Chevy Nova in 1969 because it was the first year of the Chevy Nova. What they did, the 327 originally came out in like 1962, and then but they were putting it in the Camaro in 1967. So, and then after 69, the 327 was replaced with the 307 and 305 and stuff like that. Same block. All of them are the same block. It's the Chevy. It's the Chevy small block. They're freaking awesome. They put them in Fords. That's how awesome they are. Model Ts.
We haven't gone to commercial.
Yeah, we haven't gone to commercial.
So, guys, we'll be right back, and we will continue talking about how they fucked over this guy. From what it sounds like.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
What's your emergency?
I wish to create a perfect human being, selecting the best organs from different scores. And 4 has now 5 and a 5 sign of a human. Murder victims show evidence of having been partially devoured. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life.
Because I got my Galaxy 500.
Get with your nearest cult member.
Double stacking is a noun that refers to the action in a horror movie of impaling both members of a canoodling couple
The creation of the atomic bomb. What was it?
Oppenheimer.
The Manhattan Project.
The Manhattan.
Everything they're bringing up.
I was about to say the Philadelphia experiment. I mean, which one are we talking about here?
To go and look up. So I'm looking up heavy water. What does heavy water do to a person's body? And I'm like, okay, they're watching me now. I know they're watching me.
Don't you judge us! Don't you be judging us! You come in here with your book learning and your
All right. Hey, I was totally chatting on the other side. So here we go. Yes. These tire marks were made by a Pontiac Tempest. So
Yeah, I was in auto parts for like 16 years. So I know my stuff on this one.
all right. So Tui withdrew the previously agreed sentence of 1 life term with a few minor charges. Changed it 3 life terms to run consecutively and threatened him with the death penalty if it went to trial.
Wow.
They threatened to charge him with another murder, Estelle Carey, even though William was attending Gabalt School for Wayward Boys. By the way, you guys recognize that name?
Yep.
Yeah. We've mentioned it several times.
Oh, any of the boys' schools back then there.
But specifically Gabalt.
Oh, yeah.
We have mentioned Gabalt when it comes to several different serial killers and stuff like that. So it was actually a boarding school in Terre Haute, Indiana. At the time, Williams' own attorneys were angry at their client for reneging the plea bargain. They don't raise serial killers, they create them by beating the shit out of them and raping them.
Yeah. Huh.
Just saying. So spurring the Chicago Tribune headline, Mute Hirons faces trial. Killer spurns mother's fervent plea to talk. Tui announced that he would press ahead and try Hirons for the deaths of Suzanne Degnan and Frances Brown. Hirons agreed with a new plea agreement. The public, God, I cannot talk. Allocution was held again in Tui's office. This time, Hirons talked and answered questions, even reenacted parts of the murders to which he had confessed. Ahern changed his opinion and believed that he was culpable when he heard how familiar that he was with Frances Brown's apartment. Hirons later said, "I confessed to save my life." So the knife. In his confession, Hirons stated that he disposed of the hunting knife, which he had cut up Suzanne Degnan with, on the elevated subway tracks near the scene of the murder. The police never searched the L tracks. However, learning of this, reporters inquired with the track crew if they had found a knife. They had found it on the tracks and kept it in the Granville Station storing room. Reporters determined that the knife belonged to Guy Roderick, the same person who had his Colt police positive .22 caliber gun stolen and found in Williams' possession. On July 31st, he positively identified the knife as his. Hirons acknowledged that he threw the knife there from the L train, claiming that he didn't want his mother to see it.
Wow.
Hirons took full responsibility for all 3 murders on August 7th, 1946. I keep saying 60 something. 46.
You don't expect this to happen in the 40s.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I keep thinking the same thing.
The prosecution had him reenact the crime in the Degnan home in public in front of the press. On September 4th, with Hirons' parents and the victims' families attending and Chief Justice Harold G. Ward presiding, Hirons admitted his guilt on the burglary and murder charges. That night, Hirons tried to hang himself in his cell, timed to coincide during a shift change of the prison guards. He was discovered before he died. He later said that despair drove him to attempt to unalive himself.
Wow.
Everyone believed I was guilty. If I weren't alive, I felt I could avoid being adjudged guilty by the law and thereby gained some victory, but I wasn't successful even in that. Before I walked into the courtroom, my counsel told me to just enter a plea of guilty and keep my mouth shut afterwards. I didn't even have a trial.
Wow, that's insane.
On September 5th, after further evidence was written into record, the prosecution and defense made their closing statements. Ward formally sentenced Hirons to 3 life terms. As Hirons awaited to be transferred to Stateville Prison from the Cook County Jail, Sheriff Michael Mulhaney asked Hirons if Susan Degnan suffered when she was killed. He answered, "I can't tell you if she suffered, Sheriff Mulhaney. I didn't kill her. Tell Mr. Degnan to please look after his other daughter because whoever killed Suzanne is still..." Within days of his confession in open court, Hirons denied any responsibility for the murders. Mary Jane Blanchard, daughter of murder victim Josephine Ross, was one of the first dissenters, being quoted as in 1946 as saying, "I cannot believe that young Hirons murdered my mother. He just doesn't fit the picture of my mother's death. I have looked at all the things Hirons stole, and there was nothing of my mother's among them."
Yeah, he was just a troubled youth. Just went in there and stole some stuff, and that was that.
Yeah. So he was subjected to an interrogation under the influence of sodium pentothal,
Yeah.
popularly known as the truth serum. This drug was administered by psychiatrist Haynes and Roy Granker. Under its effects, he allegedly stated a second person named George Merman actually committed the killings. This form of interrogation, which was done without a warrant and administered with neither Hirons nor his parents' consent, is believed by most scientists today to be of dubious value in eliciting the truth due to high suggestibility of subjects under the influence of such substances. By the 50s, most scientists had declared the notion of truth serums invalid, and most courts had ruled testimonies gained through their use inadmissible. However, when William was arrested in 1946, growing scientific opinion against truth serum had not yet filtered down the courts and the police departments. During his post-conviction petition in 1952, Tuohy admitted under oath that he not only knew about the serum, he had authorized and paid Grinker $1,000 to do so. The same year, Grinker revealed that William never implicated himself in any of the killings. Any of them. Polygraph test in 1946. After William underwent 2 polygraph examinations, Tuohy declared the results inconclusive. However, John E. Reed and Fred E. Inbow published the test findings in their book in 1953. Lie Detection and Criminal Interrogation, which seems to contradict that assertion. According to the book, the test was not inconclusive. Writing, murder suspect William Hirons was questioned about the killing and dismemberment of 6-year-old Suzanne Degnan. On the basis of the conventional testing theory, his response on the card clearly establishes him as an innocent person. So I was waiting for you to talk.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought you were hearing what I was hearing outside. I was like, just
No.
go, it's fine. Oh, no. I didn't.
My
bad.
They actually published his polygraph test,
Oh, wow.
and it showed him to be innocent, even though Tuohy declared it as inconclusive.
Yeah. That's insane.
He was just a fall guy.
They wanted to just get this out of the way. They wanted they wanted to clear the books real fast because this one was going to be a hard one.
Well, during the Degnan murder investigation, the Chicago Police Department contacted the Chicago Daily News artist Frank San Hamill to examine a photograph of the ransom note. 3 days after the murder, Hamill told the police and the public that he had found hidden indentation writing impressions from a note written on an overlaying piece of paper, leaving a ghostly impression, basically.
Yeah.
Excuse me. At this news, Storms broke the chain of custody and provided Hamill with the original note for him to examine directly. Since the chain of custody had been broken by this action, the note was rendered useless in court, no matter the result. After Hirons was arrested for the Degnan killing, Hamill reported that it implicated him. The FBI had previously issued a report on March 22nd, 1946, that it examined the note and declared that there was no indentation writing at all, and that Hamill's assertion indicated either a lack of knowledge on his part or a deliberate attempt to deceive.
Wow.
Even the actual handwriting on the note has been apparently discredited. Most handwriting experts, both attached to the Chicago police and independent at the time of the original investigation, believe that Hirons had no connection to either the note or the scribble on the wall. Charles Wilson, who was the head of the Chicago Crime Detection Laboratory, declared Hirons' known handwriting exemplars obtained from Hirons' written notes from college, and agreed with the police experts who could not find any connection between the two or the wall message.
Oh, wow.
So, independent handwriting expert George W. Schwartz was brought to give his opinion. They stated flatly that the individual's characteristics in the two writings do not compare in any respect. A third handwriting expert, Herbert J. Walter, whose credentials include working on the Lindbergh baby kidnap. You know, I'm sorry, but I don't think anybody should be considered to be credible if they worked on the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I don't see any credibility here. But he was the third expert that was brought in. And he worked on the Lindbergh baby kidnapping in 1932. After examining the documents written by Hirons, Walter declared that Hirons wrote the ransom note. See, he has no credibility.
None.
And he said he wrote the lipstick on the wall too, attempting to disguise his handwriting. However, this was in direct contradiction to what he said several months prior. So what I'm gathering is that all of these people keep getting paid off.
No, exactly.
So he had actually said he doubted the two writings were authored by the same person. He was quoted as saying that there were few superficial similarities and a many great dissimilarities. Hey, Wolfman! So, in 1996, FBI handwriting analyst David Grimes declared that Hirons' known handwriting did not match either the Degnan ransom note or the infamous lipstick message, supporting the two earlier results of the original 1946 investigation and Herbert J. Walter's original January 1946 opinion. In addition, the handwriting of the two notes did not even match each other.
Bob Ross came up. There's a Bob Ross.
There's a Bob Ross.
Yeah, I said hello back to Wolfman. I was like, there's Bob Ross.
And not just tipped off, they were paid.
Yeah.
They were paid off.
Fucking wow.
This man died in prison for something he didn't fucking do.
He lived from 17 until 83 years old in prison.
Prison for something he never did.
Yeah. So it pretty much went right there.
Yeah. His entire adult life. So, fingerprint evidence. Among evidence suggested in Hirons' guilt is the fingerprint evidence on the Degnan ransom note and the door jamb of Frances Brown's bathroom door. However, suspicions on the veracity of the door jamb fingerprints found at the Brown crime scene have arisen, including charges that the police planted the fingerprint since it allegedly looks like a rolled fingerprint.
Well, they do have the pictures here, and they are similar, but then again, when you look at our fingerprints, they all have the same rough spiral, and it's a matter of, it's slightly off. It doesn't match. So
yeah. Oh yeah. So my brain just stopped. Wow. Both sets of fingerprints have come under excuse me. So the type that you would find on a police fingerprint index card. That's what they're saying when it comes to rolling.
Yeah.
Both sets of prints have come under serious questions as to their validity good faith collection, and possible contamination, even the possibility of their being planted. And I am leaning towards that they were planted.
Oh, it could have been. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, ransom note fingerprints on or around June 26, 1946, State Attorney Toohey announced that there can be no doubt as to Hiron's guilt after the authorities linked Hiron's prints to the 2 prints on the ransom note. It was this assertion, unchallenged by Hiron's defense counsel at sentencing, that helped prompt him to confess to the murders to which he was charged. In a 2002 clemency petition, however, his lawyers questioned the validity of those prints on the ransom note due to the timing of the discoveries of the fingerprints on the card, the broken chain of evidence, and its handling by both inexperienced law enforcement and civilians.
Wow.
The Degnan ransom note was first examined by the Chicago Crime Detention Laboratory, but they couldn't find any usable prints on the note. Captain Timothy O'Connor took the note to the FBI crime laboratory in Washington, D.C. on January 18th, 1946, with the idea of enlisting the FBI's, more sophisticated technology in finding any latent prints. The FBI subjected the note to then advanced method of iodine fuming and raised latent prints. The process was similar in execution to today's cyanoacrylate. Polycyanoacrylate, super glue, by the way, fuming with the cyanoacrylate is heated into a vapor. This vapor sticks to the skin oils on the friction ridges of the latent fingerprints. The older anhydrine method is a liquid that is sprayed on the paper to detect latent fingerprints on paper, and it's very similar. The FBI were able to raise 2 prints, which they photographed promptly because, unlike modern polycyanoacrylate, fuming prints revealed by the iodine process would fade quickly. Captain O'Connor later testified at Williams' sentencing hearing that he only saw 2 fingerprints on the front of the note and did not mention the existence of any on the back.
Wow.
So how are they on the front?
You would have
in order to hold something like that, it would be like
you're
this.
You're not Spider-Man.
He wasn't going.
That's no one does that.
Okay, so unless
he's just I like to hold my nose by licking my hand and sticking it to it.
He's all, I write like this. But yeah, no, it doesn't. What the fuck, Chicago?
Well, again, it's the time. They're coming off the whole heyday of, fighting all the gangsters for all the liquor and all this other stuff because, Prohibition was over. Now it's been roughly 10 years since Prohibition at this point, or maybe like 12, 13 years since Prohibition. Yeah. And
14.
They're literally just having, they believe everyone who's already going through this, that they're guilty, and they want to clear the books for real crimes. They want to go out and have the glory days back, possibly. Who knows? I'm speculating right now. I don't know exactly.
So upon his return to Chicago, he turned over the photographs of the revealed prints on the note to Sergeant Thomas Laffey, the Chicago Police Department's fingerprint expert. After his examination, he stated to the press that they were so incomplete that it's impossible to classify them. Despite checking these incomplete prints with everyone arrested between January of 46 and June of 46, he was unable to find a match, even though William Hirons had previously been arrested and fingerprinted on May of that same year on weapons charges. Hirons was arrested for burglary on June 26, 1946. 3 days later, Sergeant Laffey announced a 9-point comparison match to Hirons' left small finger with one of the prints. Okay, so again, who holds things like this? Wait.
Yeah, well, it's just either way. It sounds like it was planted, is what it was.
Oh, totally was.
It was something that he touched, or he happened to it was on a desk or something like that, and it went down. And
so,
but it still didn't.
Then
when they show the prints, it still doesn't look exactly the same.
No, not at all. Well, a match was then announced between Hirons and the second print, In a news conference, State Attorney Tui declared, "There can be no doubt now about the suspect's guilt," but then incongruously also stated that they didn't actually have enough evidence to indict him.
Wow.
Months after the FBI had returned the note and the photograph to the note or of the note to the Chicago police, the police announced that Laffey had discovered a palm print on the reverse side of the note, also matching Hiron's to 10 points of comparison. So now he's holding it like this. Wait. How would...
Who knows?
Now he's holding it like this? No. Come on, guys. At least make it logical. So, no other prints were found on the note, prompting Police Chief Walter Storm to say, "This shows that Hirons was the only person to handle the note." This declaration is suspicious to some because the Chicago police couldn't find any prints originally, hence the necessity to send the ransom note to the FBI for further processing, indicating that they were incapable of finding them in the first place. Captain O'Connor only mentioned the 2 prints on the obverse side of the note and none on the reverse. Further, since both sides of the note are photographed immediately after fuming by the FBI, the 3rd print on the reverse would have been obvious on the note itself. And at the time of the development of the photograph of the note, but despite the testing occurring in mid-January, this 3rd print wasn't even discovered till early July. 6 months later, and approximately 2 weeks after Hirons was arrested.
Yeah.
Despite Laffey working on the Degnan case almost exclusively for 6 months.
Yeah, it's planted. It's straight up planted.
The original note was previously given to Chicago Daily News reporter Frank Sanhamel. The previous January, after the FBI had processed it to examine to find any hidden indentation writing, Hiron supposedly left. This broke the chain of custody, making the note inadmissible as evidence in court. Additionally, any number of people, including Hamill, had compromised the integrity of any prints on the note by depositing additional prints and obscuring and corrupting the prints of the culprit. I'm going to save this, see if I can do this. Save image, please. Yes. So I want you guys to see this. You can actually, it looks like you can see a crinkle of paper.
You scroll down. There's another one too that shows the crinkle of papers. This is the print that they took from him.
This was the door jam.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see it right there. See the crinkle right there?
Yeah. It looks like, I mean.
Yep.
Right there. That area. It looks like it was literally like rolled on there with paper.
Insane what they can do, man. Even at the time. Actually, if you scroll down one more, there's another print picture.
Oh yeah, but I'm not there yet.
Oh.
I'm not quite there yet.
That's where you can see the crinkles.
Let me see if I can get this saved. Shoot. Okay. I thought I lost all my notes for a second there. Look at this.
There you go. That's the one that they pulled from there.
So unless he had soaked his hand in water for a very long period of time,
well,
I do not see this logically
you can see where it's lightened and all this other stuff. And the other picture is the one where they rolled for his thumbprint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because that's like.
You see it's more flat.
That's straight up this.
Yeah. But this one, you can see the crinkled paper where it goes and where they pulled it from the torch. They literally just planted it. It's very obvious.
It's clear. It's a plant. So Ivar said, and you'd wonder why we have trust issues with the police. I don't know. Not all police officers in cities are bad, but things like this make us worry.
Look, here's the thing. I have a healthy distrust of any. I question authority properly and the way that you're supposed to, but at the same time, I'm not going to bag on the police in any way, shape, or form because the vast majority of them are doing their job.
I took that as basically what I was saying earlier.
Oh, okay.
As like, look, there's good and there's bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it sucks when you run into a bad one.
But don't ever trust police fully because keep in mind,
This happened.
you will incriminate yourself. The first thing when they start questioning you, the first thing you should do, it doesn't even matter if it's a traffic stop. Just be quiet, do what you got to do, and get out of there. Sign your ticket and get out of there. If you open your mouth on anything, you can be incriminated, especially if you have a cop, one of the bad ones who's having a bad day. The ones who want to give you a ticket to meet their quota.
Yeah, forged fingerprints, exactly.
Yeah.
There's definitely planted evidence. And no, I don't have a picture of the note actually.
No.
There was a lot of information that was like somehow lost in the 50s. So there's that. I mean, there was the huge fire in Chicago, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, but that was before.
I'm joking. Jeez. You know, they're planting evidence. They're making shit up. Might as well just say it was lost in the Chicago fire, right?
Oh yeah.
So, a bloody smudged print of an end.
Sorry, I was looking back. I didn't mean to bump your foot.
And middle joint of a finger was found on the door jamb of a door between the bathroom and dressing room in Francis Brown's apartment. A photograph of the print was taken, but no match was made with anything on file. And keep in mind, he actually already had his fingerprints on file because he was like, he was just like a 2-bit criminal. He did little minor robberies here and there. After Hiron was arrested on June 26th, the prints were compared with the Degnan note when Laffey claimed a match with Hiron's, and the prints on the Degnan note was an attempt was made to match him to the door jamb print. It was unsuccessful, and the police declared him cleared of the Brown murder because the print at the crime scene was not his. Well, 12 days later, it was declared that it was his. And they're claiming that they had 22 points on it.
Wow. Hey, Star.
Hey, Star. Hello. Okay. So
we're almost done.
Yeah. At Hiron's sentencing, Laffey testified that at the end joint of the bloody print had an 8-point comparison to Hiron's, and the middle joint a 6-point comparison. The middle joint didn't live up to Laffey's personal standard of 7 or 8 points to make a positive identification match. Now, let me repeat this. It was actually standard to have a minimum of 12 points.
Yep.
Not 8, not 7, not 6.
Meaning if it didn't have those, well, can't use it.
But he was like, oh, well, I didn't live up to my standard, my personal standard.
Well, yeah, you literally, I mean, it might be close, but that's still in the range of circumstantial. After that, that's where they're saying, okay, this is definitely this person here, you know?
Yeah. So another source of contention is that the Brown crime scene fingerprint has the appearance of having been rolled, which is the practice of taking a person's inked finger and rolling it in an index card, and not the smudged, bloody, and unreadable print as originally reported.
Yeah, and again, that was the top one where it's literally rolled like when you take your fingerprints for like when you're in class,
this one,
school and stuff like that.
This one right here. Yep. Hey, Calvin.
Hey, Calvin, what's up?
No worries. We decided to go on a little early just because it's Mother's Day. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, let me see here. The finger is placed on the edge of the card, you know, and you roll it. So we all know this. And it produces a very large print, because obviously that's not even the size of a normal fingerprint. It's much wider. And it gets all the edges
so they
and
can
all the way around.
All the proper points so they can look at it and examine it and go, okay, this is him.
But at the same time, Hiron's attorneys already assumed that he was that he was guilty. They just felt that he was guilty.
God, see, I don't even know how.
And they didn't even question them.
I just got this feeling, man. Yeah, we all have this feeling. How many times have we sat there and said, man, that person looks guilty as fuck? And then it comes out like it was his brother or someone else.
Yeah.
His brother.
So
I couldn't think of it.
Get this. 29 inconsistencies have been found between Hiron's confession and the known facts of the crime.
Wow.
It has since become the understanding that the nature of these inconsistencies is a clear understanding of a false confession. Some details did seem to match, like the police theory that Suzanne Degnan was dismembered by a hunting knife, and Hirons confessed to throwing a hunting knife into a section of the Chicago subway L trestle near the Degnan residence. However, it was never determined scientifically that it was at least the dismemberment tool, and Hirons had an alternate explanation for it. Further, it was not initially recovered by the police, but members of the press who recovered it from the track and then stored it themselves. Oh, I'm sorry. They recovered it from the transit people who stored it, and then they gave it to the police. So
Excuse me, sorry.
here's actually a list of alternate suspects.
And then I think then we have the aftermath and we're done.
Yeah, we're pretty much done. So after the Degnan murder, but before Hiron became a suspect, Chicago police interrogated 42-year-old Richard Russell Thomas. Now tell me 42 doesn't seem closer to 35.
Oh, no.
A drifter passing through the city of Chicago at the time of Degnan's murder, found in Maricopa County Jail in Phoenix, Arizona. Police handwriting experts Charles B. Arnold, head of the forgery detail of the Phoenix police in Thomas's hometown of Phoenix, noted similarities between the handwritten Degnan ransom note and Thomas's handwriting when Thomas wrote with his left hand, and suggested to the Chicago police to investigate Thomas. Upon being questioned, Thomas confessed to the crime, but he was released from custody after Hirons became a prime suspect. Others contended that Thomas was actually the strong suspect, given that he had previously been convicted of attempted extortion with a ransom note and threatened the kidnapping of a little girl. As previously noted, handwriting experts at the same time stated that Thomas's ransom from his previous conviction of extortion bears similarities in both style in regard to the wording and in form of the actual structure of the letters to the Degnan ransom note. Thomas was in Chicago at the time of the Degnan murder. At the time he confessed to the Degnan crime, he was awaiting sentencing for molesting his own daughter.
Oh, fucking hell.
Thomas had a history of violence, including spousal abuse. Thomas was a nurse who was known to masquerade as a surgeon. He often boasted to his friends that he was a doctor, and he was known to steal surgical supplies. Chicago police had previously developed a profile of the Degnan killer as having surgical skills or being a butcher. He frequented a car agency near the Degnan residence. Parts of Suzanne's body were found in a sewer across the street from the car agency. Like Hiron, he was a known burglar. Hirons. He had confessed freely to the Degnan murder, but he later recanted it when they arrested William Hirons. And they were like going gung-ho about him.
Oh, yeah.
The Chicago detective dismissed his claims after Hirons became a suspect, and Thomas died in 1974 in an Arizona prison. His prison record and most of the evidence of his interrogation regarding the Chicago murders have been lost or destroyed. George Hodel is a prominent suspect, according to the findings of his son and former LAPD officer Steve Hodel, who was attempting to link him to the Black Dahlia murder and the Zodiac Killer murders. So there's that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So the aftermath. Soon after Hirons was arrested, his parents and younger brother changed their surname to Hill. His parents divorced after the conviction. Hirons was first housed at Stateville Prison in Joliet, Illinois. He learned several trades, including electronics and television and radio repair. At one point, he had his own repair shop before a college education was available to prison inmates. Hirons, on February 6, 1972, became the first prisoner in Illinois history to earn a 4-year college degree, receiving his bachelor's of arts. Later earning 250 course credits by funding the cost of correspondence courses with 20 different universities from his savings, passing courses as varied as languages, analytical geometry, data processing, and tailoring. He was forbidden by authorities to take courses on physics, chemistry, or celestial navigation.
Basically everything you need to get out of jail and
Yeah.
be gone. That's every prisoner practically.
He managed the garment factory at Stateville for 5 years, overseeing 350 inmates. And after transfer to Vienna Correctional Center, he set up their entire educational program. He added other prisoners' educational progress, aided other prisoners in their educational progress by helping them earn their general education development or GED diplomas and becoming a jailhouse lawyer of sorts, helping them with their appeals.
This is
a whole lot like Andy Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne. I think it roughly is. I'm fairly certain Stephen King, took this and was like, okay.
Ivar sounds like Shawshank Redemption. Exactly.
Yeah. He wasn't the fact that the guards, the fact that he went this far, the fact that he wasn't really messed with in prison, none of it. It really shows because prisoners know they find things out, and if you're a kid toucher, obviously, or not, they have their own form of justice. They delve out on you. But this guy didn't have any. He didn't have anybody messing with him. None of it.
Yeah. So he was given an institutional parole for the Degnan murder in 1965, and in 66 he was discharged on that case and began serving his second life sentence. Although not freed, parole policies of the day meant that he was considered rehabilitated by prison authorities, and that Degnan case could no longer be legally put forward as a reason to deny his parole.
Wow.
Based on the regulations of 1946, Hirons should have been discharged from the Brown murder in 1975 and from remaining charges in 1983. However, in 73, the focus moved from rehabilitation to punishment and deterrence, which blocked moves to release him.
That's when you get the whole, the more prisoners we have in here, the more money we're getting.
Yeah. So in 1983, the 7th District U.S. Court of Appeals ruled that it was unconstitutional to refuse parole on deterrence grounds to inmates convicted before 1973. Magistrate Gerald Cohen ordered Illinois to release him immediately. And the brother and sister of Suzanne Degnan went public, pleading with authorities to fight the ruling.
Wow.
Attorney General Neil Hartigan stated only God and Hirons knows how many other women he murdered. Now a bleeding heart do-gooder decides that Hirons is rehabilitated and should go free. I'm going to make sure that kill crazed animal stays where he is, a sentiment supported by the media. The Illinois Senate passed the resolution that as the confessed murderer of Suzanne Degnan, a 6-year-old girl whom he strangled in 46, that it is the opinion of the chamber that the release of William Hirons at this time would be detrimental to the best interests of the people in the state. With the support of prominent politicians, the 1983 court ruling was later reversed. In 1975, he was transferred to the minimum security Vienna Correctional Center in Vienna, Illinois. And then in 1998, upon his request, to the Dixon Correctional Center minimum security prison in Dixon, Illinois. He resided at in the hospital ward. He suffered from diabetes, which had swollen his leg and limited his eyesight, making him have to use a wheelchair. And he continued in his efforts to win clemency. In 2002, Lawrence C. Marshall filed a petition on his behalf, on William's behalf, seeking clemency. The appeal was eventually denied. Former Los Angeles police officer Steve Hodel, who had spent 25 years on the force, met Hirons in 2003 when he was investigating the murders. He was convinced that Hirons was innocent of the crimes. I felt compelled to write an appeal to the Illinois Prisoner Review Board stating my professional belief that Hirons is innocent. Hirons' most recent parole hearing was held on July 26, 2007. The Illinois Prisoner Review Board decision in a 14-0 vote against parole,
even if he was
reflected by a board member, Thomas Johnson, who stated that God will forgive you, but the state won't.
It's insane. 2007, he is literally 5 years from death.
Yeah.
And he's in a wheelchair. Everything. It's like they're close to letting Edmund Kemper out right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the Canadian prison system right now. Willie Picton is up for parole. Mr. Giggles. Nope, American Nightmare.
I know, but he's all.
I'm all whoa over here. Whoa. There's more than one royal family in wrestling, Mr. Giggles.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Just to let you know. But I can tell you what's not in the bloodline. There's no visionaries like Seth Rollins.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
By the way,
What?
Cody Rhodes' next match,
Yeah.
Logan Paul. It's going to be fucking good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It does look pretty good. All right, we're just trying to finish talking about his death now. It's very, very simple. After being taken to the University of Illinois Medical Center on February 26, 2012, due to complications from diabetes, he died on March 5th, 2012, at the age of 83.
Well, it's a heart attack or gangrene or something.
He had spent his entire adult life as a scapegoat
actually
in prison.
His entire adult life, but he spent most of his life institutionalized.
Yeah.
Granted, he was a stupid kid, did some stupid things, but he did not deserve that.
No.
What's wrong with Rhea Ripley being out with a legit injury? I don't believe.
I'm sad. No, it is. It's bad.
No, I think it is. I think she went out for whatever, but I think it was already planned because she did wrestle a little bit with that. She was holding her elbow in that Becky Lynch match.
There's a tear right here.
Oh, she got another injury?
It's her shoulder.
Oh.
Yeah, it's her entire shoulder. It's not her elbow.
Oh, so they were just saying it's her elbow for the kayfabe?
No, the kayfabe thing was her elbow. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, she injured her elbow. But no, she actually tore. You can see the tear.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. She's out now. She's out for a few months. So
9.
yeah. But it's gonna be good when she comes back. So
her
good.
and Liv.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what they go or where they go with that right now. It depends on what's taken care of and how much people like it between now and then.
I kind of want to see her and Liv in a tag team again.
Oh no, I want to see her and Liv go at it.
Either way, it'll be hot. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yes, the redneck soap opera.
Yes, it's great.
Yes.
I love it.
Why does it say go to Twitch on here?
Because I put my Twitch up, I put our Twitch up so people can go to our Twitch too, along with the Patreon. Wasn't on this time. So guys, we're real fast. I'm going to be doing I've already started doing a ton of gaming with Helldivers on our Twitch. Pretty much every time I play that game now, I'm going to go live on our Twitch. So if you can, go to our Twitch and subscribe. You'll see everything we're doing here, plus the gaming. So we're not really going to be doing the gaming too much on Facebook because I'm having audio issues between screen capping it with StreamYard and sending it out to Facebook. But we're going to be doing everything on Twitter and Twitch for the gaming.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So that's it. That's it about the lipstick killer. But can we really call him the lipstick killer? Because it doesn't seem he actually did it.
Oh, exactly.
All right, guys.
That's it.
That's it.
We're done.
So thank you for joining us tonight for this. Yeah, at least give it a follow, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, go give our Twitch a follow. That'd be great.
Please do.
Yep.
We would really like that.
Yep.
Also, our Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon. The PBDC Collective Inc. Twitch is the PBDC Collective. Twitch is the PBDC Collective. Patreon is the PBDC Collective Inc. There you go.
And then on Twitter, it is Cult Psycho.
Yep. So
for those of you who know our real name.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful night.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I don't know, set the world on fire. I don't want a baby. In my